Well, hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit differently. It's still on update 1.95 Northern Winds, still during Operation Frost. And today we're going to be looking at two games actually. They're both rather short, and I'm going to be using the M24 Chaffee to rather excellent extent. The first game is pretty short, but it can show you what, in the hands of a competent player, such as myself, can do in terms of a flanking maneuver. And I do end up being a little bit too over aggressive, and I do pay the consequence for that. But under someone who's a little bit more cautious, a lot be done. So I see that enemy tanks are being engaged over here on the outskirts of the city, and I see that A has been captured. So as I'm passing, I see a KV-1, and he has been taken out. But at this moment in time, I am thinking I'm going to come around the back side of this little streetway and help my allies pushing up there. You can see the green tank marked on the map. That is my squad mate. We're not on comms or anything, but I look back, see there's nothing in between us, and I continue to push forward. As I am coming down the street, I am looking out into the central plaza to see if there's anyone there, and I see that there is a Stug. And I put one shot in, take out his driver and gunner, and second shot follows it up, taking him out entirely. And with that, I'm not going to stick around. I'm going to push around. I look and I thought that might have been a actual enemy tank, but it's just a scenery tank. So I continue to hear shots ringing out from my left side, so that's where I'm going to be looking at primarily. But as I pull around, I'm still going to check my right, because I'm not sure if anyone's pulling out or not. It appears not, so I'm going to continue forward. As I look down this street, I don't see anyone. I do hear them though. And I come around and looking down, and I see this tank right in front of me. It's Panzer IV F2, I believe. Nope, Panzer IV G. One shot, one kill though. And I'm looking around towards A to try to spot anyone, and at the moment I do not. And I see a flak bus. And these things are very annoying because in War Thunder, no armor is best armor. I'm gonna put some 50 cals into the back of him, take out most of his crew on the gun itself. And I'm gonna push forward because I don't want to stay here for too long. And here's where I make my mistake. I'm looking up too high, and I am going to be hit in just a second. But until then, I'm looking up here, and yep, there it happens. I got hit in the back by a Stug. At first I think it's over there, but nope, it's not. So I continue to rotate my turret, and I still don't see him until he puts another shot into me and takes out my breach. At this point, I try to provide a little bit of a smoke screen for myself, but it will ultimately end up being fruitless. And yep, I am now been taken out. So here's the end of the battle results. 2 kills and 1 assists. And now for the second battle. This one is much more successful on my part. I am going to use the M24's excellent speed, and I am going to get up on a hill, on the map. It's marked as area F5. It's just overwatching the B position and the mountainsides coming down from A, and that way I'll be able to take out people that are focused on engagements in other areas. I decided I'm going to drop some artillery up on the way towards A, because I figured I can at least get some hits on people that are on their team that are moving up towards A, so that way my team knows what's there. And just a second later, C starts to be captured. And yep, there's a hit. It's SPAA, and I am 99% sure at this point that it is Italian R3, one of the little mouse droids. And I see smoke's been drawn up there, and it turns out it's the Japanese version of myself, another M24 Chaffee. It's the one you saw in the thumbnail. So, I continue to push up, and at the moment, because B has not been captured yet, that is my primary concern. But because of the smoke up there, I am making sure to keep an eye on it. And, yep, I just heard the 75, which is definitely an American one. And I'm pushing around, but I'm being cautious still because I don't want to give away my position, because it's much more valuable that I stay hidden. And there, I see his shot. I know roughly where he is. I'm pushed around. I don't quite see any trees blocking my vision. But I can make out enough of him to put a shot through, and yeah. One shot, one kill. And I'm gonna pull back, and I'm still gonna be looking through. I played this game much more cautious than last. These two games, they really show how a tank can be played in multiple ways. Using its, I mean, I'm still using the aspect of speed to help me out, but it helps me out in very different ways. In the last one, I was doing a flanking operation, whereas in this one, I got to an early game position, and you could call it camping, but I just call it positioning. I see the mouse droid, and somehow my 75 ricochets off his 2mm plate. I look in the back, and I hear there's someone coming out, and there's another mouse droid. My shots are just not on point today. So right now we're triple capped out, and I notice we're all on our second spawn. You can see everyone's coming out, but it's still most valuable for me to stay in here. Thankfully, that little mouse droid didn't know where I was. I'm not sure how, because I shot at him several times, but at this point I can hear there's enemy tanks moving behind me. I also see marked on the map there's some kind of tank destroyer, and it looks like he just got taken out, so that's always good. And then I get a target undamaged on my artillery drop to B, which means that there's something there, but I'm not going to focus on that right now because I'm sure that anyone that I've killed is probably going to try to come up and try to kill me again. So I'm looking in that direction. And I see, sounds like a German gun. Turns out he didn't know I was here, but he had a very similar idea, finding a little position where he could get the advantage of people. And I put a round into his turret, disabled, and my guess is he thought he had been hit from the front, so he pulls back, but that actually works out in my favor. Put one shot into his side, and that takes out his driver and loader. Sorry, machine gunner, not loader. And this Panzer IV also doesn't know that I'm here, which is good. And one shot into his side will take him out. And as I push it forward, there's this Panzer III. I don't see him yet, but I will in just a second. Yep, oh, there he is, and I guess he didn't know I was here. Or if he did, he didn't know exactly where I was. But if he had moved up in here, it would have been pretty dangerous, so I'm glad I took him out. I'm looking around because at this point I've caused enough damage that I'm worried that someone's going to come and try to revenge me. And, well, someone had seen me. Thankfully, it was a terrible shot. Twice. And I pushed up here. And I had seen someone being engaged up here, so I'm looking around there. And I don't see this Panzer IV directly in front of me until too late. He attacks on my engine, but thankfully he doesn't set me on fire. And he pulls forward, and I put a shot under his gun. He missed, I didn't. So now I'm going to spend these 30 seconds repairing, and I am very nervous at this point, because I don't know what could come around the corner, and I'm completely immobile. So I don't have the thing that makes this tank most valuable. So you see, at this point, it is getting pretty dire. They're starting to move in on their spawn, and we're double capped, but it's soon to be triple capped. So while this strategy ultimately ends up being very effective for me, it doesn't work out for the team as well. So at this point I realize I'm going to need to move in. So I'm going to start to head towards B. Before, that tank that had shot me earlier, he missed, I didn't. Those Pumas, they can work in a very similar way that I do, except for their wheeled tank destroyers and a tracked light tank. But they are highly effective. And I see KV1 in the distance, and I know I am not going to be able to penetrate him. But, oh, there's Decker Max. It's the best name for a tank ever. And one shot into the back of him, and he's gone. So right now, I'm not trying to capture it, I'm just trying to slow the ticket bleed, so I'm going to decap and continue onward. And unfortunately, I had thought that I was going to be able to get up this hill, but as you'll see in just a second, I am not. And this is going to give the enemy enough time to catch up to me. So, because they're an entire team, you'll notice they pulled away from my spawn. But it's a good thing I didn't stay to cap, because that bomber most likely just dropped a bomb on the point, not knowing where I was. I think he was going to kill me. If I had stayed on the point, I would be dead at this point. And I see this SPAA, and for some reason didn't see me. Although he's probably just looking up at the sky. And yep. So I get taken up by the Stug, and I try to put my cursor on where I know I can penetrate him. So that when my turret swings around, I can kill him. And yep, I shoot, and mine bounces to his destiny. So, 9 kills in the end, and nothing really happens for the rest of the game. We lose, but it ended up being a pretty good match for me. In total, 9 ground targets destroyed, and I forget what place I got, but yeah, it wasn't the best, but from the result of that you can see that just because you can get a lot of kills doesn't mean it's going to win you the game. So, with that, let me know how you thought of the style. Any suggestions, leave them in the comments. And have a nice day. Bye-bye.